Right, guys, armbar from side control. There's a couple different phases of this. One, the guy is maybe a less seasoned fighter and he actually reaches his arm up and grabs onto me, so he gives me his arm. And two is he has good position and I'm forcing him to give it to me. So we're going to start out, the guy reaches his arm up and he actually gave it to me. So whether he's grabbing onto me or however it is, this arm reached up over my head. Now, I don't care if he reaches this side of my head or the other. I'm going to do the same thing and we'll look at that in a sec. But generally he reaches here, I reach around, my right hand blocks his legs right there. I'm nice and heavy on the guy, I grab my lapel, I feed it so it's nice and tight, and I use my head. I don't want him to be able to bring his arm around my head freely like this. Go ahead. That's not good, go back. So when he does it, look how I use my head here like another hand, so bring your arm around my head. And if I have to, I can even keep going. Put my head on the floor right there, but I just trap it right here. Be aware, sometimes when the guy reaches over like this, he's going to try to grab your belt with his left hand, and he's going to try to flip you this way. So you got to keep your hips real low, and you can't drive too far forward. Like, know when he reaches, that's one of the things he's thinking about. So here I go, nice and tight, block his legs. First is just controlling. If you don't get the arm bar, you at least have to make this guy suffer for letting you grab onto his arm. So he's going to be in a bad spot, and he's going to try to stop you from, he's going to have to fight to get his arm free. So I'm going to make him use a lot of energy even if I don't get it. But here's the basic technique. I block his leg. Now switch base, step over the head. This is important as we'll look at in a second, because the guy, as he gets better, he knows that I have to get around his body to armbar him, and he starts blocking my movement with his right arm. So here we go. Hold on nice and tight. I switch my base and I step over his head. My knees are going to control his head. Right here, boom. Again, I can't let him bring his arm around my head at any time. I'm using my head very strongly. Now my right hand goes on his bicep. Okay? One thing I like to do is bring my knee, actually my shin, over his arm, just like that. Right? You don't have to do it, but it's nice if you can. So here I go. Bring my shin over. Now I drive up this way. His arm's so tight here that it almost arm bars him. He's almost tapping right there. Up, he taps. Just because I have it tight with my head. I step to the line of the belt and about 6 inches away with my foot. So I'm right here. Step. Now I pivot. Now I'm going to lay back. My right hand grabs. Boom. Grab right there. There's my arm bar. Here from the other side so you can see a different angle. I trap his arm, switch my base, step over the head. My left hand is going to grab his bicep. Okay? Bring my shin over. Now drive up on the side. It's tight on his arm. Step. Look at my left hand. It's going to grab right here, pivot, and boom, lay back. When I lay back, my knees are straight towards the sky. Squeeze my knees together. At this point, I come back, make him tap here. He starts trying to squirm to come out. I grab, control his wrist, so the thumb's up. This will help me keep it from rotating. And there's my arm balls. Okay? Now, what's going to happen is he's smart. He's going to keep me from stepping over his head. One more detail. If his arm's on this side, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm still going to use the same arm to block it. This hand on the floor, switch base, step over the head. Now as I come around, what's going to happen here is that I come around, I'm ready to come over, and he's going to be able to grab his belt, or he's going to start defending that arm. I can still go on the arm bar, but it's more likely that he's going to be holding something, and I'm going to have to fight the grip here. Look more at that in 1 second. Now, here I go. He's going to stop me from stepping over his head with this arm. So I got to bring my body high and then come down on his head. Because he's strong keeping a force this way. But as I come up this way, he's not going to be able to stop it. So that's where the switch base really comes in. He's grabbing, I'm holding tight. Here I go, I switch. Now look, I come high, and then I drop down. Okay? A lot of times when I do that, I'm not going to get his arm. So now I can't come with my shin. Here I go up, boom. His arm ends up here. So I don't get my shin to go over his arm. So now I drive, turn, boom. There's my arm bar, control. Trying to get perpendicular so my body's perpendicular to his body. Try not to lay like this, because here it sets him up better to the hitchhiker escape. But he rolls out. Remember again, if I control that wrist, he can't hitchhike. See it? But he puts his thumb this way, go ahead, rolls through, boom, puts me in a bad spot. This arm bar is very important. Like, you can't have the guy give you his arm and not make him suffer for it. Here I go. He doesn't give it to me. He has a good frame. My hand comes right here. Same thing. This hand's blocking his legs. I cup under his arm, and I drive. Look, my butt goes up, drive my shoulder down, up. Use the head, now I've got his arm. He tries to get it around my head, don't let him. Switch base, step over head. Drive, step, pivot, boom. There's my arm bar. That's my basic arm bar. Now from there, here's what's gonna happen. I didn't control his arm well with my head, or it was on the other side, so he's gonna get to grab his belt, or he's gonna get to grab his lapel, or he's gonna grab his arm, and I'm gonna have to deal with a situation where the straight arm bar is gonna be a little bit of work. Here I go. I got it, switch base, step overhead, boom.